topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Draw me close to you, never let me go. Lay it all down again, to hear you say that I'm a friend.
Good day. The Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with you. My name is James Robertson. I'm a researcher, publisher, and teacher regarding the matters and truths of the Almighty Creator, whose true name is Yah, the eternally self-existing. I've been actively serving him since 1993, over 32 years. If you're not actively serving Yah, then by default you're serving Satan. My objective is to show you how you can make a big difference on earth and qualify for a position of high esteem in heaven for eternity. It's important to understand that as a believer, just being good is not the point. It's relationship with Yah that counts. Without this, you will be in a very unpleasant place in heaven with no way out. My aim is to show you how to get close to Father. If you're a good person without a clear relationship with Yah, then you're in a spiritual no man's land and will not enter heaven when you die. The Creator has said regarding unbelievers, why would I want someone to spend eternity with me when they do not believe I exist? Yah is calling everybody on the planet to be involved and serve him and help him to have victory over Satan. Fundamentally, we each need to learn to see things on earth from Yah's perspective. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org. Today I'm going to talk about good is insufficient. Relationship with the Creator is what counts. Overview. About 10 years ago, I had dinner with a professor who'd had a profound impact on my professional career. The conversion turned to the mutual friend who'd introduced us and who also led me back to Father. The professor, who I deeply esteem, made the comment that as far as he was concerned, religion was of no consequence and what mattered was being good. I instantly knew he was mistaken, but I did not know how to answer him. Today I know with complete certainty that good is not enough. It's not even relevant. It's relationship with the Creator that is the only thing that matters. I wrote a series of articles around this topic and tied them together at the end of 2023 and broadcast 4 45-minute slots on www.w4cy.com and www.talk4.tv.com. These broadcasts were based on the above two articles with considerable elaboration, based on my experience since writing the primary article in 2014. Based on some feedback I received, I decided it was worth sharing the transcripts of those broadcasts with the YouTube and website links, and these are presented on the website. This is based on the article 2024-0105. Good is insufficient. Relationship with the Creator is what counts. Elaborated. Increasingly over the years, I've come to understand that the Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with those who choose to follow him. In fact, the only reason we exist is to have such a relationship with the Creator. In 2014, I wrote the article 2014-1101A, The Almighty Creator Desires a Deep Personal Relationship with You, and published it to my mailing list and on the website. Subsequently, I came to understand more deeply that while if we are close to Father, we should live good lives, there are billions of good people on earth doing their best to live good lives who will not make it into heaven, and that in fact good as a benchmark for eternity was insufficient. In fact, good is irrelevant if one does not have a deep personal relationship with the Almighty Creator. I tied those two articles together, as I mentioned a minute ago. So that resulted in the article 2020-1209, good is insufficient. Relationship with the Creator is what counts, which is also on the ETI YouTube. Search on YouTube for good is insufficient. Relationship with the Creator is what counts. About 12 years ago, I've told you that. I didn't say that good is not important. In other words, that you can go out and not be good. My point is you need to get close to Father and He will help you to be good. The harsh reality is that being good the world's way is not necessarily Yah's way. You need His help to be good. And if you don't have a relationship with Him and you're not going to heaven, it really doesn't matter whether you're good or not. There's a big issue in the world today that a couple of generations ago, there were a lot more believers than there are today. And so the 10 Commandments, etc., were imbued into society, certainly in a lot of countries. That legacy has remained, but people don't believe anymore, so the commandments are irrelevant. Folks, this is a huge issue. If I look at the world that I grew up in South Africa and in the UK, and that I've been exposed to in Europe and the United States in particular, there are churches everywhere. Which means that there were a lot of believers who were prepared to put up substantial sums of money to produce many very impressive buildings. Today, many of those churches are not well occupied. In addition to that, there are a lot of people who are worshipping Jesus instead of Yah, worshipping the Bible as the Word of God instead of just a useful reference book, using the names God and the Lord instead of Yah, the eternally self-existing and the Almighty, and Jesus instead of Yahushua. And as I've explained on previous broadcasts, up until 2003, there was grace for all of those errors. But in May 2003, the 3rd of May 2003, Satan was brought before the court of heaven. Charges for his crimes against humanity were read out. He was sentenced to 1,000 years in the pit, and he was consigned to the pit. In order for that to happen, the grace for the use of the wrong names, the Lord, God, etc., the grace for the wrong name, Jesus, instead of Yahushua, the grace for worshipping Yahushua and making Jesus equal to God, the grace for worshipping the Bible, and by extension, the similar sins in Islam, Judaism, etc., with regard to the Quran, Muhammad, Moshe, the Torah. And so today, Yah says that there are less than 1.5 million what he calls true believers, people who actually have some modicum of relationship with him. Please understand what I'm saying. I'm not speaking against the commandments. I'm speaking about it doesn't help you to keep the commandments if you don't have a relationship with the Creator. If you're not going to heaven and being good is not going to get you to heaven, that's the essence of my message. There are billions of good people on earth today, yet on the 25th of December 2015, 10 years ago, there were approximately 2,705,021 believers with some level of relationship with the Creator on earth. And that number has declined since then. Relatively few young people are joining, and old people are dying off. Quite a few of the people would not be classed as good by many good people. As I said a minute ago, today Father says there are less than 1.5 million who would make it into heaven if the end came today. And you can say to me, what about all these Christian revivals around the world? And I have to be honest, I don't fully know what's going on there. I want to believe that these are people coming to Yah, and I believe that I understand Yah to say to me that that's not the case. I continue to believe that Yah is saying to me that if somebody prays to Jesus for salvation, it means nothing. If somebody prays to God for salvation, it means nothing. They have to pray to Yah for salvation. So what I'm saying is that there are millions and millions and millions of people who are coming to belief in Jesus Christ who are not going to heaven. And I can't prove it. And I sincerely hope that I'm mistaken. But on the 31st of December 2000, I published an article, Yah's Wrath for the Church, because of all the errors of Christianity. And on the 1st of January 2001, I published a second article on Yah's Wrath for the Church with regard to the wrong teachings around marriage and virginity, etc. And then the fact is that even of the 1.5 million today, very few have any sort of meaningful relationship with the Creator. Folks, I really want you to get a fix on this. You've got something like 7 or 8 billion people on the planet, and 10 years ago there were around 2.7 million who would make it into heaven with some sort of esteem. And of those, only a few hundred would really be in places of high esteem. I can't stress this enough. The world is not the way we think it is. You can putter along through life being good, whatever good means for you. But if you're not doing good in relationship with the Creator, in context of the Creator, in the way that you're seeking to please Him, that you know He exists, that you're seeking to serve Him, things are not going to help you. It's great to be good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't be good. I'm saying that good on its own is not going to help you to get to heaven. And it's certainly not going to help you to get to a high place in heaven. I hope I'm making myself clear, folks. This is so important. The fundamental principle here is the whole reason this universe, this solar system, this planet, the plants, the animals, us human beings exist, is for one reason and one reason only, that Yah was lonely and He wanted friends. So the criterion for getting to heaven is relationship with the Creator. It is not being good. Keeping the 10 Commandments, if you don't have a relationship with Yah, is not going to get you to heaven. The Ten Commandments as such are not some magic potion that you apply to your life to get to heaven. The Ten Commandments are the basic requirements for legal compliance with the laws of heaven, so that when you get to heaven, if you get to heaven, you don't end up in hell paying the price for a whole lot of unconfessed and unrepented sin. So if you're in a place today where you're just puttering along and you think that whatever you do will get you to heaven, I'm sorry, you're just not going to cut it. This is tragic, given that the only reason humankind, this planet and the universe exist is for us to be friends with the Creator. Think about it. Why are we here? Whether you believe in the Creator or not, the fact is that massive events happened millions of years ago to bring the universe into existence, to bring the solar systems into existence, not just our solar system, but innumerable other solar systems around us, to bring planet Earth into existence. And then a deep, complex creative process that progressively created one-cell organisms, then simple plants and more complex plants until we get the beautiful variety of plants that we get today. The blossoms, the fruits, just the whole aesthetics and the pleasure, the beautiful taste, the beautiful perfumes, etc. of the plants. And then the animals, greater and greater complexity. The joy of playing with a kitten or a puppy, a dog that serves you well, the wonder of the elephants and the giraffe, etc. All carefully crafted, all carefully designed, carefully built until the Creator made an environment in which to create humankind. And we're here with this fabulous setting, and almost nobody knows the Creator. And the only reason we're here is because he was lonely and he wanted friends. He was lonely, and tragically, he is still lonely. He says to me that even today, there is only one person who truly is a friend, who understands him at some modicum of reasonableness. And then there are a few dozen who are close to that. Some of them are working energetically on that. Others kind of got there by accident and doing the best they can. But it's profound, folks. We were created to be companions to the created to have conversations with him. Folks, this situation where people say that God doesn't speak to us anymore is absolute claptrap. He created us to talk to. The reason you can't hear him is because you've got stuff in your ears, including believing a lie that you can't hear him. If you decide you want to hear him and make the effort to get there to hear him, you will hear him, because he wants to talk to you. And if you're not making the effort, the fasting, etc., to get to a place where you can hear him clearly, you're missing the point of your existence. So if you're living a good life, seeking to be a good person, I have to tell you that's not sufficient. In fact, on its own, it's worthless. What really matters is that you have a deep personal relationship with the Creator, and then it will help for you to be a good person. One of the ironies of this thing is that quite often the people who have some sort of relationship, who have some sort of belief in the Creator, are not particularly good people. The war that's been going on in Israel and Gaza for the last 2 years, I'm quite sure they're believers on both sides, and some of those believers have done some pretty ugly things in the last 2 years. One of the real brutal truths is that many wars over the years have been fought between groups of believers who both at some level have believed in Yah or God or the Lord or Allah or whatever they call him, and who have been in great error. Just to make my point, Hitler was a Christian. When he died, he ended up in hell for a very long time. In fact, by my information, he's still in hell paying the price for what he did. But ultimately, he'll be in heaven. I don't know what that does for you, but it's pretty rattling. Think about it. If you make it into heaven, one day you're going to be able to talk to Adolf Hitler. And that is an indication of the magnitude of huge error of so many believers. So you can be as good as you like and not acknowledge the Creator, not seek relationship with Him, not seek to please Him, not seek to live without sin, and it's going to do you no good at all. You need to have a relationship with Him. I encourage you to now step out and earnestly seek a deep relationship with the Creator. See the article, The Creator Desires Relationship, and the article 7 Components of Drawing Close, both on the website. If you go to the top left-hand corner of the website, there's the word home. Just to the right of the word home, there's a tiny little triangle. Hover your mouse over that, and you'll get a drop-down menu, and both of those articles are there. There's a whole range of things you can do to deal with sin in your life, deal with error in your life, and I'm here to help you. The website is here to help you. The website is substantial. It's got a lot of information. The summation of 32 years of learning on my part, over 2,500 articles, over 1,250 web pages. There's a lot of information. If you've got questions, there's a reasonable possibility that the answer to your question is on the website. And if you can't find it on the website, then email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org. At the end of the day, folks, Father is looking for you to seek a relationship with Him, and He will meet you wherever you are. The only reason we exist is to be friends with the Creator, and almost nobody does that, and almost nobody's seeking to be a friend. It's tragic. He's lonely. Has it ever occurred to you, while you are blundering along doing whatever it is that you do day by day, that the Almighty is lonely because He wants you to be His friend, and you don't even know it, let alone making an effort? It's quite mind-blowing when you first realize that. But that's the reality. He has almost no friends on earth today. Almost nobody talks to Him. Certainly not in a partnering sort of way. Think about it. Put yourself in His situation. He went to a huge amount of effort. He visualized this whole thing. Key pieces to understand. We have something called the periodic table of the elements, which lists all the elements from hydrogen, helium, oxygen, chlorine, iron, platinum, gold, etc., etc. All neatly designed. And that had to be worked out exactly before anything could be created. And then we look at DNA, the recipe for building a human being or an animal or a plant. And that had to be all worked out before he could create a single plant or animal. And then people have difficulty believing there's a creator. It's kind of mind-bogglingly stupid, if you'll forgive me for being blunt. And now we've got us with massive complexity, so much so that the medical profession has any number of different specialties dealing with little bits of the human body because it's so complex, and no one human being can be an expert on the entire human body. And still we don't get that there's a creator. Or I get, but most people don't get. And there's 8 billion people on the planet, plus minus. And there's hardly any friends. Have you any conception of how lonely and distressing that is for him? So the next part that I'm going to talk about is based on the article 2014-1101A. The Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with you. I shared earlier about my meeting with the professor and my realization that his belief that a good life was all that was required was mistaken. This broadcast examines this in more detail. It took me a long time to get to this point, folks. I went through the whole thing about believing the Bible is the Word of God, Jesus is God in the flesh, going to church to us on Sunday, going on Wednesday, ending up in confrontation with the church because I discovered that they were teaching lies, and ultimately all of that was of effectively academic importance. What really mattered was that I was also seeking to get close to him. I was worshiping him every day. I was spending time on my knees, talking to him every day. I was listening to what he said, and I was doing my best to be obedient to what he told me to do. I was looking to him to guide me in every aspect of my life. He spoke to me audibly in March 1993 so that I knew he was real. And it never occurred to me that because he had spoken to me once that he wouldn't speak to me again. And I got to a point where I could have a conversation with him. I haven't stayed at that point all that long, but that's what he wants. He wants to be able to converse with you. He wants to be able to discuss things with you. He wants to be able to tell you his desires for the world. He wants you to be able to pray his will into existence. And so few people understand this. Do you understand that Yah can do nothing on earth except he does it through a human being, and the satanic and demonic realm can do nothing on earth except they do it through a human being? So the flood required that Noah, in conversation with Yah, said, Father, I'm asking you to bring a flood and drown all these people, and I'm asking you to provide me with a way of escape. That's what caused the flood, nothing else. A man who saw Yah's heart in the situation and prayed Yah's will into existence. You can be such a person. So after the meeting with the professor, I was deeply troubled. I knew that if that was indicative of his level of belief, in other words, all that's required is to be good, you don't need to worry about religion, he was not going to make it into heaven, and that was a terrible thought given the considerable impact he's had on my life. I prayed intensely about the situation, and a few weeks later I heard our Father in heaven say to me, why would I want someone to spend eternity with me when they do not believe I exist? I knew instantly that that was the answer. Think about it. Yah created us to be friends. You don't want to be a friend? Why should you have the privilege of spending eternity in heaven? Why would Yah want you in heaven if you don't believe he exists? Think about it, folks. It's absolutely logical. It makes perfect sense. And yet almost nobody understands it and nobody figures that one out. And there are billions of people who are not going to go to heaven because they don't get that point. And if you stop and think about it, it makes perfect sense. Why should somebody get to make it to heaven to be there for eternity with Father if they don't believe he exists? What's in it for him? There's nothing in it for him, and he's not going to do it. And he didn't set out to be ugly and do that. He didn't expect people not to believe. There's a whole piece about the contest and Satan rebelling and challenging Father and saying, if you put me on earth for 7,000 years, at the end of 7,000 years, I'll make sure there's not a single human being believes you exist. And Satan's winning hands down, folks. The question is, what will you do about it? Will you turn from whatever you're doing and say, Father, Yah, James says you want a relationship with me. I choose to seek that relationship. And then a few minutes after, he said to me, why would I want somebody to spend eternity with me in heaven when they don't believe I exist? He said, a few minutes later, he said, why would I want someone to be close to me in heaven, which inherently means I will give them great authority, great power, if they do not have a deep personal relationship with me and have not proven to me that they can be trusted? Again, think about it. Heaven is huge, folks. The throne room is huge. Read the book, The Final Quest. You can get it on Amazon. Get a lot of bookshops. It's on my website under the ETI Bible version page with commentary and verse numbering. Why would he want you to be close to him in heaven and sit on a throne if you haven't proven that you can be trusted? Seems perfectly logical to me. The problem was that I did not know how to communicate that message to this widely esteemed professor in a manner that he would be able to receive and act on, and I still don't. I had lunch with him about 6 months ago, gave him an article, didn't get it. I still hope to persuade him before he dies, but he's in his late 80s and he's getting quite frail. Can think of it, folks. There are some stories floating around about nice things in heaven. But frankly, folks, why would Father give you a place of great authority if you've not proven to him that you can be responsible in this life? Really think about it. It's not going to happen. You can choose to be as successful as you like in this life. The question is, where will you spend eternity? And there's an ebook on the website with that name, and I've taught on these broadcasts several times. I did an abbreviated form a few weeks ago. Will you spend eternity as an ancestor spirit or demon, an unbeliever on earth? Will you spend eternity in the outer darkness of heaven, a cold, black, miserable place, weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, as a believer who did nothing for Yah? Or will you be in the throne room, in the outer fringes with the foolish virgins? Or will you be sitting on a high throne with glorious apparel, huge authority, and great supernatural powers? I know where I'm aiming to be. What about you? As I grappled with this question for this professor, I came to understand a diversity of issues that I had not previously understood. I did massive additions to my ministry website, adding over 700 pages that addressed all sorts of issues and answered any number of questions that someone who believed that being good might want answered in order to come to a place of deciding that there is an almighty creator and seeking a deep personal relationship with him. I also came to understand increasingly deeply that this was not sufficient. I hope I'm getting through to you. Yes, it's desirable to live a good life, but no, that's not going to get you into heaven. So live a good life and have a strong relationship with the Creator. I didn't say have a strong relationship with your church or your pastor or your imam or your rabbi or your synagogue or your mosque or your temple or whatever, your book, your Bible, your Quran, your Torah. I said have a deep personal relationship with Yah. A relationship with Him that you hear Him, that you speak to Him, that you dialogue with Him, that you engage with Him, that you see things in this world His way. That's what you were created for. So why would you not want that? Probably because nobody's told you that it's available. And I'm telling you now. He wants a deep personal relationship with you, not tomorrow, the next day. He wants you to start seeking it right now, today, and I urge you to do that. And then it does not help to decide that the Creator exists if one does not have guidance in terms of how to progress to a close relationship with Him. So I continued to pray and fast and tie together things I'd learned over the previous 21 years, all directed at producing a document that I could give to this professor and others like him that would provide the best possible basis for them to make an informed decision for or against, and if they chose to believe, would provide them with resources that they could draw on to know what to pray, etc. There are documents on the website. I mentioned 7 components of drawing close top left-hand corner. Goes into all sorts of things about adjusting the way you think, the way you live your life, so that you can have a deep personal relationship with Him. And it's not definitive, folks. It's a good starting point. And the real issue is that you talk to him. I advocate that you get on your knees for an hour or 2 hours a day. Talk to him, all flat on your face on the hard, cold floor. Lying on your bed under a nice duvet doesn't count. For reasons I can't really explain, in my experience, I hear more clearly when I'm on my knees than in any other position, or sometimes flat on my face on the floor. And that is a bit uncomfortable. Not that comfortable on your knees, quite honestly, but it keeps you focused. Get on your knees, talk to him until you get to a place where you hear him so clearly that you can have a conversation with him as you walk down the road, as you sit on the bus, as you drive your car, whatever it is that you do. The end result of all this is the detailed article that's on the website that I just referred to, which I hope adequately presents the reality that the Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with each one of us. And I'll take this message further in time. Together with this, I authored the second document of 70 pages that is available on the website with a whole lot of how-to information based on my experience. So, folks, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter if you're educated or uneducated, rich or poor, tall or short, thin or fat, blonde hair and blue eyes, black hair and brown eyes, or anywhere in between. It doesn't matter if you are a Buddhist or a Satanist or a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew. It doesn't matter what denomination you are. It doesn't matter if you're African, Asian, Indian, American, Caucasian, European. Father Yah desires a deep personal relationship with you. I've hammered the point in this broadcast. As I said earlier, there are a huge number of articles on the website that will answer a lot of your questions. There are a lot of web pages. Right up the top, you've got the table of contents, you've got the keyword cloud. And that's an alphabetical listing of keywords. I don't know, 20, 30,000 keywords. You can scroll through that. There's on every web page, there are a number of sliders which just randomly display articles. And there's a link to a page that does that as well. There's a table of contents. You can go onto your browser in the top right-hand corner. There's 3 little dots. Click on that, you'll get a drop-down menu, and one of those is find in this page, find on page, depending what browser you're using. You can search for keywords that way as well. When I started this journey 32 and a half years ago, I had none of that. I've set out to create a resource that will help anybody who is sincerely looking to get close to Father. And I encourage you to avail yourself of that. www.endtimeissueministries.org. Go there, see what you can find. By all means, email me, james@endtimeissueministries.org. I would be delighted to answer your questions, to connect with you on Zoom, whatever. So I want to wrap up by asking you, what is the state of your relationship with your mighty Creator? I'd like to ask you to critically examine where you are relative to Him today. Do you talk to Him constantly throughout the day and allow Him to lead you in every possible way? Do you worship Him at every opportunity? Have you clearly and unambiguously heard Him call you friend? If not, you're failing in your life purpose, and you will be bitterly disappointed when you die. If you've now come to belief for the first time, please pray along the following lines. Father Yah, I come to you in the name of Yahushua. I now believe that you exist. I confess my sin of unbelief and repent of my unbelief, and I ask you to forgive my sin. I now commit my life to you, and I ask you to take me by the hand and lead me into deep relationship with you. I ask you to fill me with your spirit and to change me and help me to become the person you want me to become. I ask you to help me find people who can help me and help me find books, websites, articles, and other resources that will help me. I ask you to show me what I can do to actively serve you and lead others to deep personal relationship with you. I thank you for saving me. There's a period of 8 days from sincerely coming to belief for the first time, during which there is extreme grace to help you. See the article, Critical Actions on First Belief, for actions you should take immediately. And then drop me an email on james@endtimeissueministries.org so that I can help you, pray with you, pray for you, counsel you, etc. If you have now just come to a place of saying, you know what, Father, I want to become your friend, you could pray along the following lines. Father Yah, I come to you. And James says that I can become your friend. I want to become your friend, Father. I don't know how to become your friend. I ask you to help me find the material I need to learn how to become your friend. But I want to hear you. I want to converse with you. I want to be your companion. I want to be one who does things for you. I want to make a difference in the earth. I ask you to help me. Open the doors you want opened in my life that no man can close, and close the doors you want closed in my life that no man can open. Bring the people you want into my life and take the people you don't want in my life out. Help me, Father, to come close to you. Help me to know your will and to do it. Enlarge my territory in relationship with you, in knowledge of you, your ways and your will. Help me. Please, Father, I want to become your friend. So in closing, thank you for listening. Please send me your questions to james@endtimeissueministries.org. Please email me to join the mailing list at james@endtimeissueministries.org. If you decide to draw close to the Almighty, please let me know and I will connect with you by Zoom, Teams, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, or telephone so that I can help you with your journey. I hope to connect with you again next week when I will continue to explore how to become a friend of the Creator. Work with me to make a way for Yeshua to return in victory at the end of the millennium and make his enemies his footstool. Folks, I would love to hear from you. It gives me great pleasure when somebody emails me and says, I've listened to your broadcast, I visit the website or whatever, and it's touched me. I have a lot of contacts, but most of them don't communicate much with me, and the ones that do communicate, a lot of them are asking for money, which I don't have for them. So please email me. I'd love to hear from you. So those of you who've been on this channel for a while, I'm going to say good night, and you're going to drop off now. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next Friday, and have a blessed weekend. And remember, next Wednesday is the great day of the Feast of Tabernacles. It's a high Sabbath. So please remember to keep it and to celebrate, have a feast on next Wednesday. And for those of you who have only been here for a short while, please stay on. I've got something to share with you. So in closing, who am I? James Robertson. I have a doctorate in engineering and I'm a retired military commander. I now work as a management consultant. I have over 32 years' experience of actively seeking to draw close to the Almighty, following a dramatic encounter with him on the 12th of March 1993 when he spoke to me audibly in a locked room, and I knew for certain he was real. In learning about Father, I applied my deep-seated aversion to failure born out of an accident in early childhood, coupled to my engineering and military training of rigor and preventing failure, to my seeking of knowledge about Father. This journey led to numerous supernatural experiences, prayers answered, and clear communication with the Creator that forms the basis for what I teach in these programs. See the video Why Seek Relationship for an overview of what I believe. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org. The ETI version of the Bible with correction of translation errors and commentary is on the ETI Bible version page. It's a work in progress, not yet complete, but there's a lot of valuable information in that, especially in the books from Matthew to Revelation, the so-called New Testament. For recordings of nearly all of the teachings broadcast so far, go to www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or search on Google for Relationship with Creator Radio. Transcripts are on the Transcripts of Broadcasts page. Books with teachings from 1998 until May 2019 are on the Books for Printing page. I publish regular email articles. Email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to be added to the list or to seek counsel or prayer or give me feedback. Visit the website and use the article keyword cloud, table of contents, article search, and Google search to locate the information you're looking for. Folks, that's it. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next Friday. Good night.
Father, I come to you, lifting up my hands. By your grace I stand, just because you love me. I know your favor.
Hi. Are you aware that good is not sufficient? Do you know that unless you have a relationship with the Creator, you will not enter heaven? If you don't know this, please listen to my broadcast on w4cy.com internet radio or talk4tv.com internet TV. My name is Dr. James Robertson. I've been walking closely with the Almighty Creator since 1993. Visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org for a lot of information about the matters of the Almighty. For back issues of broadcasts, visit www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org in order to find out more. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much.